Close your eyes, relax your bite. Oh, I thought that was yours. I'm a bit of a pen klepto. Take a few moments to transition into your practice, drawing your awareness to your breath. And as that breath sinks into your body, moves through your body, starting to become sensitive to that balance of strength and ease. Here, Sukhasana, the posture of complete ease, there's a hint there. Most of your balance will be heavy on the side of ease. Looking for tension, you can release. Maybe through your bite, between your eyebrows. Deep into your shoulder sockets. Into your belly. Even softening through the soles of your feet and out of your toes. And as your attention starts to learn to rest on your breath, riding your breath through this awareness of your body, all the other busyness of your mind just becomes like white noise. Do a few more breaths here. Start to set an intention. Choose a mantra. Sthiram Sukham Asanam. Posture is steadiness, strength, stability, and ease, comfort, release. Seek for these qualities in every movement, every breath between each movement. Over your next few breaths, start to extend and flex through your hands and feet. Rock your head over to one side and then the other, nice and easy. Start to layer some movement onto this stillness. And then over your next few breaths, reach your arms up and overhead. If you bump into some toes or a wall, you can grab opposite elbows and just reach through those. Take this stretch like you do first thing in the morning. Muscle hugs to bone. You draw out of your waist, arc your back, long, strong legs, point the toes, stretch through the arms. One more breath. And then exhale, let that go. Perfect. Take one knee up to your chest, followed by the other. Once you can reach them, cup your left knee with your left hand, your right knee with your right hand. You can hook those thumbs together to make that grip a little easier. And then extend your arms out to straight, letting your legs hang heavy over your hips. Feel the natural arc of your spine return. And direct your attention to that low back as though your breath is moving along the back ribs, deep into the low spine, swirling through your hips. Feet are soft. We'll do 2 more breaths here, finding this balance of a little bit of strength through the hands and arms, a little bit of awareness of the low back being free but stable in this shape. And then over your next exhale, see if you can contain that balance, that stability through the core. Release your knees, leave them stacked up over your hips, rest your arms at your sides, and just bring your shins up parallel to the floor. Take your legs hip width apart. Good, and you should still feel a little bit of space, bless you, between your low back and the floor. If you find that you push the low back into the floor in order to hold this position, then you are not using core stabilizers to do it. You're pushing into spinal flexion in order to do it. You want to get out of that habit. So if you want a little extra feedback, palms flat to the floor, slip your fingers under the low back, just above your hips, just below those back ribs. You should feel the low ribs pretty reasonably secured to the floor, but the low back arcing up. That's your lordosis, right? In the spine, the natural shape. Stay here and work on stability, no problem. If you want to start to add a little bit of mobility to this position, then as you exhale, right leg extends straight out to the floor. Just tap the heel maybe if you can, and then bring it back up. Beautiful. Left leg extends on the exhale and comes back up. Good. As you exhale and extend, continue. As you exhale and extend each of these legs, stretch that leg out like you do first thing in the morning. That same kind of active lengthening and stretching through the leg. Good. Low back ribs stay reasonably secured to the floor. Low back arc maintains that shape. All of the movement happening around the hip socket and then extending out of the leg. Good. If this feels good, stay here. If you want to layer on a little more movement, arms come up to the sky, turn this into a dead bug. So as your right leg extends out to straight, the left arm lowers beside your left ear. Just keep going with alternating arm and leg extending out and then returning. And again, your focus, your attention stays centered on the stability of that low back. Good. All right. And if you're getting what you need out of this movement, stay here. Otherwise, for the last 5 or 6 breaths, go non-linear. Take your arms and legs in any direction, any shape, any speed. If you want to stop in certain shapes and just check in with the spine, take the legs as one solid leg for a little while. Anything you want to do. Challenge your core to respond in all these non-standard positions like it has to do every day. But your awareness and attention is on the stability of the core. For 2 and 1. Perfect. Bring your knees back to center. Plant your feet on the floor, hip width apart, heels under your knees, arms rest at your sides. Nice. As though you've got a $100 bill underneath your butt cheeks, pick it up and then lift your hips high to the sky and do not drop your money. Good. Keep that $100 bill between your butt cheeks. Keep a bit of a balloon between your knees. You got it. And you can stay here, continuing to work on this stabilizing strength of the back line of the body, feeling the hamstrings, glutes, low back, mid back, all working together to open you up through the front. Beautiful. If you want to go a little bit further, feel free to bring some movement, into this by just lifting and lowering the hips, almost setting them down onto the floor, and then picking more money up and coming all the way back up. You want to take the hips as high as you can without feeling any kind of pull or strain through your knees or through your low back. Hopefully a nice deep stretch through your quads, through the front of the hip, maybe even in a little bit into the low belly or psoas. Good. All right, and if this action is bringing you what you need, awesome. Stay here. Or for these last 4, 5, 6, 7 breaths, get a little non-linear. Use the tip of your tailbone like the end of a paintbrush and just start to draw. Maybe you draw circles, X's, figure eights. Maybe it's no particular shape at all, but just think about leading that action with the tip of your tailbone. So the hips really have to work to guide it. Awesome. For 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Bring your hips back to center if they were not, and then lower them to the floor. Take your knees up in towards your chest. Hands grab hold of those knees, thumbs hook. Relax the legs over your hips. That natural curve returns. supported in the low back. Play with that a little bit if you're not sure, right? Come out of what you know. So maybe let the low back arc really far away from the floor. And see if that feels better. Maybe let the low back lift up off the mat and then see if you can set your low ribs to the floor while letting the low back still feel a little more free. Good, let's do 2 more breaths here. Awesome. Release your knees, leave them stacked over the hips, arms at your sides. All right, to begin, shins come up parallel to the floor, legs come hip width apart. Still feeling that space between your low back and the floor. And again, feel free to stay here, keep working at this. This is a great position. Feel your breath move through the body while the body stays still and responds to that breath. If you want to go a little further, see if you can straighten your legs, take them out 45 degrees from the floor. Glue them together in one solid leg, even pointing through the toes, like a good gymnast. And from here, note what happens. You want to feel the tailbone curling up a little bit towards the pubic bone to give you some extra support. Low back ribs are still on the floor. Low spine is still in that arc. Watch for tension through your shoulders. And if you're okay here, feel free to come in and out of that, coming back to that original position, knees bent over the hips. Or if you really want to go for it, legs are straight, glued together, toes are strong, legs are strong. Start to use the tip of your toes as your paintbrush. Watch the stability of your low back. Slow it down and minimize the movement as much as you need to, so that you feel the low back stay stable. For 3, 2, and 1. Gorgeous. Release. Plant your feet on the floor, heels on your mat, toes turned off the mat. Maybe the big toe stays on the mat, that's fine. Heels plant under your knees if you can. And now you've got a lot more room, so you can pick up $200. And then start to lift your hips up to the sky. So you've got some more room for your pelvis here. Maybe you can get them a little higher. Maybe once you come up, you reposition your feet a little bit if it feels a little better. You might reposition the shoulders, maybe a little retraction through the shoulders to open up through the chest. And then hold this position. It's a great strength builder. Or get a little more creative. Again, use the tip of your tailbone like the end of a paintbrush and just start to draw for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Amazing. Set your hips down. Draw your knees up into your chest. Little hug with the knees to give the back a little stretch. And then rock yourself up to seated. Set your toes at the back edge of your mat. Okay, you've got a few options. You can sit over the heels. If that's uncomfortable to sit on your heels, feel free to be up on your knees. Or if you want to start this stretch into your feet, flip your toes under, squat over the heels, set your knees down, and then sit over your heels. That can be excruciating, so come out of that as soon as you need to. No problem. All right, reach for the sky. Puncture the ceiling with your fingers. Good, and really start to get a sense of the arm extension here. Right from the shoulder blade, right through the shoulder, all the way up your arm. If you have what yoga calls the iron lung or the wooden lung, your arms will come up to about here. You'll be stiff, so you'll do this instead. Look at how open my arms are, right? So draw your ribs into your body so that you don't feel that they're pressing out against your skin at all. Then reach through the arms. Good. Start to turn, spiral, as though you're screwing and unscrewing light bulbs in the ceiling. Let that twist come all the way through the arm. Play through the fingers, elbows, upper arms, shoulders, shoulder blades. For 3, 2, 1. Awesome, and release. All right, plant your hands in front of you, about a foot or so forward of your knees. Fingers spread out, not strained, just spaced out. Hands are rooted to the floor. And just start to lean up. Lock your elbows strong, because you want this stretch, and you're not taking a lot of weight. And then just start to lean forward. And as soon as you start to feel that stretch in the base of the wrist, stop. You can spin the elbows a little bit in and out. You'll feel a different kind of stretch depending on where the elbows are. If it feels a little bit too much, then you back up. Last one. Perfect. Sit back. Spin your hands so that the heel of the hand is forward, fingers are backwards. Probably those fingers pretty close to being beside your knees. Glue the heel of your hand to the floor. And then you can sit up and lean the shoulders forward as much as you need to relieve this. Keep the heel of your hands glued to the mat as you start to sit back, as you start to bring the shoulders back behind the wrist. Keep the heel of the hand rooted to the floor. Draw the shoulders back. 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Come on out of that. Make fists. Keep these fists tight enough to fight. Glue the inner wrists together. And then roll. Keep these wrists in contact. Outer edge, top of the wrist, inner wrist, and under. Keep the fist tight through that whole roll. One more. Good. Go the other direction a couple of times. One more. Awesome. And release. Come up off your heels. Coming to tabletop shape. Tent your fingers. Again, spread the fingers, but don't stretch them. Okay? Just have them spaced apart and set them underneath the shoulders. Grip the mat as though you want to bring all of your fingers together underneath your hand. This will create what yoga calls hasta bandha, the bandha of the center hand. Just grip it enough to turn it on. It's like a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. And stay in this position through your fingers until you feel fatigue. The moment you feel fatigue in the fingers, plant your whole hand down on the floor, all right? With the fingertips gripping, with the shoulders over. I find with cat-cow, when my fingers are like this, that when I'm coming into the arc of cat, that I kind of need to sit back in order to feel it a little bit more, just because of the position of my fingers. So you might find that helpful for you as well. All right? Moving through cat-cow. Exhale, lift the mid-back. Allow the back of your neck to grow long, your head to be heavy, the tailbone to tip downward. And again, like I say, if you're like me, you might feel like you want to kind of push into your fingers a little bit, sit back over your heels. Take that stretch a little more behind you. And then as you come into your next inhale, moving through cow, the belly sinks towards the floor. Tailbone tips upward. You can even soften through your shoulder blades. And we'll go between those two. Curling under. And extending through the front ribs. Let's do one more. Sweet. Come back to a neutral position, toes touch, sit back into child pose. Feel free to stack fist on fist and just rest your head on your fists for these first few. One more deep breath to the low back. Gorgeous. On your inhale, come back up. Again, feel free to tent the fingertips. And place those hands flat as soon as you need to if you feel fatigue through those joints and the fingers, no problem. Moving into pipe roll. Keep the arms as straight as possible. Keep the hips over top of the knees as much as possible. Let this action happen through the mid-belly. So front ribs press down into the base of this pipe. And then roll out to the right. Ribs stretch out towards the right. Right shoulder and hip draw away from each other. Start to lift up into the upper edge of this pipe. Rubbing the ribs, stretching through the back, moving through cat. And then left ribs spread, left shoulder and hip draw away from each other. Left ribs press out to the left and sweep downward towards the floor. And just keep going. Be in no hurry. Look for some nice depth in this movement. Trying to get as much extension through the core as possible. Attention to your breath. Strong where you need to be. Gentle where you need to be. Once your belly is towards the floor again, switch directions. We'll do one more. And the next time your belly comes towards the floor, come back to a neutral spine, sit back over your heels. Reach your arms forward. You can set your hands nice and wide if you like, all the way out to the long edges of your mat. And sink back into child pose. We'll begin the first flow. Wherever you are, exhale, look forward, and grab hold of the mat so your body will cooperate, but rather than using your legs to bring you up into a tabletop, you're gonna grab hold of the mat and pull yourself up. So arms stay strong and straight, grab hold of the mat and just start to pull. Let your body cooperate with you, but feel the cooperation of arms having to work, body resisting just enough to create that pull sensation through the body. Once your shoulders are over your wrists, just hold the floor away as you lower yourself into it. Once belly's to the floor, tailbone anchors, and we'll move in and out of cobra. Inhale, chin and shoulders lift from the floor. Exhale, lower. As you inhale, chin and shoulders lift. Exhale to lower, good. And you can add this pull action here too. Hands press into the floor and push back towards your feet as your heart presses forward and up into the breastbone. Two more. Gorgeous. Release that action. Push the floor away to come through tabletop. Sit back over your heels and take your breath right to the low back. Deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. Look forward between the thumbs. Grab hold of the mat and pull yourself forward. And then once the shoulders are over the hands, hold the floor away, shifting to a push action. Tailbone sinks deep into the floor. Inhale, chin and shoulders lift. And exhale, lower. Let's add your legs. Chin, shoulders, right leg, lift. Good. And lower. Chin, shoulders, left leg, lift. And lower, good. Again, you can add that gripping action. Elbows are reaching for your tailbone. Chin, shoulders, right leg, lift. Chin, shoulders, left leg, lift. Gorgeous. Release that action. Push the floor away and flow back into child pose. Take a deep breath in once you're there and let it go. Look forward. Grab hold of the mat. Pull up and through, tabletop. Lower your body to the floor. Chin, shoulders, right leg lift. And lower. Chin, shoulders, left leg lift. And lower. Good. Full Shavasana. Chin, shoulders, both legs lift. Hold and breathe. Grab hold of the mat like you want to pull your heart through your arms towards the front. Heart lifting upward towards the top of the collarbone. Last two. And one. Very good. Let that go. Press up and back. Child pose. Last one. Once you're there, take a breath in. Exhale, lift the head to look forward. Grab hold of your mat, pull yourself up, and then lower to the floor. Chin, shoulders, both legs lift, Shavasana. See if you can get those toes to touch your forehead. One more breath. And then let it go. Come up through hands and knees, flip your toes under, and sit back and up into a squatted downward dog. So come up to down dog, walk your feet forward and as wide as you need so that you can come into a nice deep 90-degree angle through the knees and settle your hips deep into the top of the thighs. You should feel an even amount of weight through your hands and feet so your hands are not stressed out here. Let's start into your ankles. Keeping this deep squat, lift the heels up and over the toes. And then lower. Let your ankles collapse inward a little bit more. The weight comes into the inner arch of your foot. Knees collapse in towards each other a little bit. Non-ideal, the body needs to be able to move through non-ideal, so start to lift your heel. With the ankles collapsed inward, you'll feel the stretch through the big toe. And then lower. Let the ankles bow apart a little bit, knees go wide. Weight goes into the pinky side edge of your foot. And then lift the heels. And then sink. Beautiful, bring those legs back to neutral. Shift to hovering tabletop, knees just 2 inches off the floor for 3, 2, 1. Perfect, sit back into down dog. Again, tabletop for 3, 2, 1. Good, sit back into down dog. Now use tabletop as your transition to come to that squat. Shift to tabletop. Step or hop your feet behind where your wrists just were. Forearms to the thighs. Deep squat. And then heart and arms come high. Exhale, arms down. All right, second flow with the feet nice and wide here. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, squat like a soccer goalie. Ready, ready. Feel ready and strong in the body. Let's start to trust your arms. Stay in this shape. Just fall forward, catch yourself. And push back up. Good, again. Fall forward, catch. And push yourself back on your feet. Tap your forehead. Fall forward, tap. and push back up. Beautiful, plant your hands. Step back to that plank pose. Knees down is totally fine for 3, 2, 1. Lower to the floor. You've got 4 or 5 or 6 breaths to work into this back bend as you like. Moving through cobra, moving through the legs, through Shalabhasana, maybe even all the way to that toes to forehead movement. Last 2. And 1. Awesome, and let that go. Press up and back into downward dog. Find your foot position so that you're sharing weight evenly through hands and feet. Heels are heavy towards the floor, but not forced. And let's start to bring this length into the back of the leg. From this deep squatted down dog, press your right heel into the floor, or as close as it'll go. Start to straighten that right leg. Good, maybe you bend into the left knee a little bit more to take more of the weight into the right foot. Heel is anchoring. Awesome, and then switch, coming through that squat. Now start to press your left heel in towards the floor. Work to straighten that left leg. Maybe the right knee bends a little to relieve and to bring more weight into the left leg. Good, keep even weight through the hands. 1 more breath. Awesome, and then walk the dog. Pedal your legs straight. Last 2. And 1. Gorgeous. Arrive in your version of down dog now. If you can root those heels, fabulous. If not, no worries. Keep the deep bend in the knees. And we will shift from here to hovering tabletop for 2. 1. Sit back, down dog. Again, tabletop for 2. 1. And sit back. Lovely. Use that tabletop to transition. Shift to tabletop. Step or hop to the top. Squat. Heart and arms come high. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, squat and get ready. Fall to the left. Tap your head. Push back. Fall to the center. Tap your chin. Push back. Fall to the right. Tap your forehead. Push back. Beautiful work. Plant your hands. Step back to that plank pose. Hold for 2. And 1. Gorgeous. Lower to the floor. You've got 4 or 5 or 6 breaths to work into this back bend as your body's ready for it. Good, and slowly come on out. Press up and back into downward dog. Last one. Hovering tabletop. Downward dog. Hovering tabletop. Down dog. Hovering tabletop. Step or hop to the top. Squat. Heart and arms come high. Arms down. All right, lunge flow. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, squat. Okay, stay with me to a count of 5, meaning it takes the full 5 counts to move your forehead to the floor. Don't rush. Fall and catch. For 5, lower your forehead. 4, 3, 2, 1, tap and push back. You're welcome. Plant your hands and step back. plank pose, just for one big breath in, and then lower to the floor. Gorgeous. Use 4 or 5 or 6 breaths to come into this back bend. Feel free to turn this into an up dog, by the way. Once you're in Shalavasana, all you have to do is straighten your arms. And then exhale back to down dog. Set your feet a little closer together. We're going to move through the lunge series. Here we go. Shift to hovering tabletop. Lift your right foot. We're going to piston through the left leg 2 times. So like you want to sit on your left heel, and then like you're going for a sprint through the left leg. Like you want to sit on the heel, like you want to go for a sprint. Good. This time lunge the foot. Sprint and lunge the right foot. Push straight down into that front foot, come up to standing. Use your arms for balance. As though you're going to kneel. And then as though you're coming up off the floor. Kneel. Come up off the floor. This time really kneel. Set your knee down. Right forearm to the right thigh. Sink the hips forward. Left arm reaches up, up, up. Back and to the right. Let your left hip drift out to the left. Arm reaches up and over to the right. For 3, you can play with that spiral through that lifted arm. 2, 1. Gorgeous. Come on out of that twist. Plant your hands. Step back to downward dog. Same thing on the other side. Shift to tabletop. Lift your left foot. 2 pistons. Sit back over that right heel. And then sprint to a straight leg. Sit back and sprint. And then this time really lunge the left foot. Sprint and lunge. Push straight down into that front foot. Use your arms for some balance. Kneel. Come back up. Kneel. Come back up. This time really kneel. Set your left forearm to your left thigh. Reach the right arm up and over to the left. Let that right hip drift over to the right a little. And you can spin through that lifted arm, screwing and unscrewing that light bulb. For 2. And 1. Good. Come on out of that side bend. Plant your hands. Step back to down dog. Okay. One last piece to add to the lunge series. Then we do the lunge series, then we rest. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Here we go. Hovering tabletop. Lift the right foot. Lunge it forward. Okay, this time you're going to come up to standing. Bring this back knee up into your chest. Come up. Find your balance. It's a nice, strong, bold lift. Now from here, good, strong balance to come back. So move through warrior 3. Single-legged squat. Plant your hands on that back toe, or set of toes, hopefully you have more than one, and then step back. Sweep the right leg back and up, so it becomes a 3-legged down dog. Left heel can sink almost all the way to the floor, maybe. Good, and then back to downward dog. All right, other side. Hovering tabletop, lift the left foot, lunge it forward, come up to standing. Nice and strong. Move through warrior 3. Just use your arms for balance as you need it. Squat. Plant your hands in that back foot. And then sweep this left foot back and up. 3-legged down dog. Good. And then step down, and that's it. We'll do 3 more. And then we're done. It's okay. You can do it. Be here now. Here now. Get your mantra. Each breath. It's just one breath. Here we go. Just hovering tabletop. Just lunge that right foot forward. Just come up. Find your balance. Just that squat. Whoop. Plant your hands. Sweep that front leg up and back. And then down dog. That's our Tabletop, left foot lunges. Come on up to standing. Warrior 3, squat, plant, sweep the left leg back and up. Down dog. There you go, just 2 more. Hovering tabletop, right foot lunges. Come on up. Warrior 3, squat, step back, sweep that right leg high. Down dog. Tabletop, left foot lunges. Come on up. Warrior 3, squat, ooh, plant. Sweep that front foot back and up. Good, see, 1 more per side and you're done. Hovering tabletop, right foot lunges. Come on up. Warrior 3, squat. Sweep the front leg back and up. Down dog. Tabletop, left foot lunges. You're missing them already. Come on up. Find warrior 3. Squat. Ooh, sweep the leg back and up. Down dog for 5. Or child pose is fine. 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Hovering tabletop. Step or hop to the top. Squat. Heart and arms come high. Arms down. All right, you're probably warm. I'll give you about 10-15 minutes to move through your own practice from here. Anything you want to do, including a 10-minute Shavasana, if you really feel like that's what you want. You've got lots of heat now. Everything in the body is warmed up.